Welcome to Millrock Technology. Today we're going to talk about tissue bank freeze drying. What's the difference? There are challenges associated with freeze drying tissues. First off, they're a biological material and they're done in a fashion that has typically a special type of a container that makes heat transfer from the shelf a little difficult. Unlike pharmaceutical freeze drying, where you're freeze drying in a vial, your tissues may be placed in a tray, a metal tray, a plastic tray, or something like that. And that adds a little complexity to this situation. When possible, it's definitely recommended to use a metal tray rather than a plastic tray, and make sure that that tray has good contact, because the product is frozen by the shelf. If there isn't good contact, it makes the freezing process a little more difficult. Tissues in general have a very large shelf area versus their water content. The only time that this is not the case is when you're doing a collagen type material, which probably has a pretty high water content, in addition to being pretty large in shelf in surface area. Picking the right freeze dryer for your tissue freeze drying application can seem daunting at first, but it's fairly straightforward. Here we show a picture of multiple types of freeze dryers and setups, different size systems, different shelf configurations, etc. Which one's right for your application? And that's going to be the most important thing. So features to consider are shelf size and shelf spacing. Here we show, in this case, a 15 shelf freeze dryer with fixed shelves. This would be great for doing good quantities of materials that are very thin. This freeze dryer has four shelves in it, very broadly spaced. In this case, probably about 5 or 6 inches between the shelves. In this case, you're going to be putting a thicker tray in there or a larger container. The condenser temperature is a consideration. If you're just freeze drying materials with water, you can get away with a minus 53°C condenser. However, we do recommend a minus 85°C condenser, which will allow you to do products with other solvents in it that may have trouble freezing at minus 50. The instrumentation is kind of important, specifically the vacuum sensor, whether you're using a Pirani or a capacitance manometer. Whatever the protocol was developed using, either a Pirani or capacitance manometer, should always be used in production as well. Typically, in the pharmaceutical world, a capacitance manometer is used because it's going to give you the absolute vacuum reading, where a Pirani is affected by moisture content and can change. So it is recommended that you use a capacitance manometer, but not totally necessary, and it may not be necessary for your application. And then you have to decide whether you want a caster-mounted unit, which is obviously a unit that can be rolled around, or a clean room mounted unit that's actually wall mounted. In this case, we can see this is actually a tissue freeze drying facility with 5 freeze dryers mounted in the wall in a clean room. There are other options as well, but those are the major ones. Sterilization is sometimes a consideration. For example, if you need to sterilize the freeze dryer prior to performing your freeze drying run, hydrogen peroxide can be used. There are vapor hydrogen peroxide sterilizing systems available, and the freeze dryer can be modified to accept those. It's important to consider using a stainless steel door when using hydrogen peroxide, because the peroxide will permeate the door and be released on future runs. Steam sterilization is possible as well, not typically used in the tissue world. Mainly, it's an extremely expensive alternative. You need the utility of steam, and you need to get an ASME rated vessel for the freeze dryer, which adds a lot of cost. Most sterilization for tissue banking is done using some type of a post-processing gamma radiation or something like that, so you may not need to sterilize your freeze dryer. So those are some of the considerations for tissue bank freeze drying. If you have any questions, any other ideas or thoughts that you'd like to share with us, please get in contact with us at Millrock Technology. And here's our phone number and an email where you can get a hold of us. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.